Yeah, my name is Kerr Wells, and I'm directing Macbeth in Hyde Park this summer.
And I'm Ted WITZEL, and I'm directing Taming the Shrew.
The question that I am interested in provoking by the end of this, of the hour and a half that we will tell this story in, is not how could anyone do such things? How can anyone commit such terrible acts? But rather, under what circumstances might I be driven to commit acts such as these?
For Taming the Shrew, I guess where I really get interested in this play is where it becomes a reflection or something that we're able to identify with from a contemporary standpoint. I think it's really easy to get caught up in our firm and unshaken belief in progress as something that puts us in a position where we look at this play and say, well, weren't they awful to women back then? And I beg to differ. I think we have not come so far as we'd like to think. And, well, yes, women are free to occupy all kinds of other positions in the world than they were in the Elizabethan period. I think there are also a tremendous amount of limitations on access to equity and jobs and positions, and there's a whole social sphere that is still commanded by the patriarchy. So looking at what has changed and what hasn't in Taming the Shrew, and how the connection between gender, capitalism, and patriarchy and class all sort of interconnect in a contemporary way.
I think whenever Ted and I get a chance to talk about this, I'm struck by the ways in which we're directing different plays and the way in which our interest in them seems to converge. Ted said something about, that we can watch the Taming the Shrew and think, oh, weren't things terrible then? And I think there's something interestingly similar about Macbeth, that we can look at this play as a kind of as a story of barbaric violence in another time, or we can look at it as an entirely topical investigation of the temptations of power. And if anyone needs me to explain why that is a topical subject right now, then they're not listening or paying attention to what's happening in our country, in countries all over the world. I ideally try and direct everything I make so that if somebody is watching it who speaks no English, they'll still be able to watch the play and be engaged by the action of what is happening, and also that they'll get that the action will somehow convey a story.
You never walk into a rehearsal hall to do Moliere or Ionesco or George F. Walker or Judith Thompson with a room full of collaborators who are so certain that there is a way it needs to be done. So it's been really, and I mean, no two people's way it needs to be done are the same, so there's a really interesting dialogue and negotiation going on between all of us as we work through the play to try and find the way this production of this text at this time in this context with this group of people should be done, and trying to find a way to relinquish the preciousness that sometimes comes with Shakespeare, because he's dead and he's not going to complain.
And I think we have so many opportunities to isolate ourselves socially in contemporary society and to exist, in a virtual reality, and it's so real. The barking dogs and the people next to you who are eating their fried chicken, or all of those things, and then the vitality of the experiences happening in front of you. I mean, that's why people come back year after year to see the shows in the park. I think it's going to be really great.
What he said.
We got a great cast of actors. I think we're both really jazzed with the designs for our show, which, as I say, are radically different. And everything about the experience. The thing is, I've always reminded. This sounds a little odd, but even where an outdoor theater is bad, it's still good. And I think these shows are going to be good.
We're going to trade rehearsal. I'm going to direct the last day of
Yeah.
He's going to come and do Shrew for me.
And then on the last week, we'll switch costumes.